Today we're making an extremely biased
and highly critical.
musical instrument tier list. And we're starting off big with the violin. It's a good instrument, I feel like. I think for me, the violin soloistically can be really cool. Um, but I just don't really like it because I play brass instruments. So maybe good. It's good feel.
Yeah, I feel like violins have the ego of like a trumpet player oftentimes.
Right. Well, it's
And
like, are we judging the instrument or the people?
I feel like you can't do one without the other.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. It's just all around everything. I think it's a good instrument.
It's like if you took the flute and you mix it with the trumpet, you make
Right.
a violin.
Right. It's just for orchestra. Like it can't go down to mid. Like that doesn't.
It's not mid. It's
arguably, it could be a great instrument, but personally, I think it's a solid good instrument.
I would agree.
The snare drum.
Automatic garbage.
No, it's not a garbage. That's a very necessary instrument. It's very necessary for like every ensemble ever.
That's not true.
It's even in like they use like snare sounds in like pop music. You know what I mean? I feel like this is low key a great instrument. Just because it's
used, like all the instruments are used. Like they're all necessary because we use them, but that doesn't mean that this is our opinion. It's not like which instruments get used the most. That's not the tier list. It's
my bad.
You know? Do you agree though? I think it's garbage, but
it's garbage. How about we settle for mid?
Okay, it's mid.
Just based on the people that play it. Yeah. By the way, we're gonna upset some people with this tier list, and before you say never cook again, it's too late. It's really just too late. We're doing this, and I think that we're gonna put this in mid. French horn's a garbage instrument. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, and this is nothing against French horn players. I don't really have a problem with the players that much, and I don't even have a problem with the instrument that much. It's just too hard. Like, be honest. Under the highest level, who sounds good on a French horn, bro?
Probably nobody. But it makes it more impressive to be good at it. If you are good at it, then it's
right. Which is why, like, let me be clear. If you have the best 10 French horn players in the world, this is a god tier instrument. This is a god tier instrument in the right hands. But since it's just so, like, hard to play and impractical to play, I'm sorry. This is a garbage instrument. And I feel bad for every French horn player because I think the trumpet is hard. And it is. But French horn is just like amplified by 10, man. And I think that gives it garbage. I don't know. The electric guitar.
Why are all these instruments, like, so far, the violin, the snare drum, the electric guitar, we got the saxophone coming up soon, and the trumpet. These are like the instruments that have the players have the largest egos on the planet. Right. If it was just those instruments, we would all die because they would just be...
that is kind of skewing it because objectively, like, some of these instruments should be higher. Just based on, and we also have to base it off of sound. I feel like, just like, that's true. What does it sound like?
I mean, the sound of a French horn when it's good is crazy, but
you know what?
The majority of the sound we're getting from a French horn is probably not good.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're like a college player, you probably aren't that good.
I feel like we're doing French horn players a slight disservice. I feel like bottom of mid. Because it's not garbage. Like, that's a bit of an exaggeration. It's not garbage.
It also
we'll put
looks
it bottom
sick.
of mid.
Like aesthetics.
It's pretty. Yeah.
Are we gonna consider aesthetics?
And it can sound so good.
We should have had like a
all right.
criteria before we started this.
That's okay. That's part of it. The electric guitar.
Okay, it sounds sick. It's like 100 instruments in one. You
can. I think this is a great instrument.
Like, you could play an entire like orchestration. Like,
it can sound
an
so
entire
cool.
Piece. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that some of like the most recognizable like music in the world has been played, primarily on the electric guitar. I think that
it's very versatile.
Yeah, and like I've seen some stuff online recently. It's just like people just doing crazy things on the instrument. And I think it sounds pretty cool as well. And I think that since, it's electric, you can like just do so many different sounds with it.
Also, you could unplug it and you could play it not plugged in, and that still sounds cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great instrument. The tenor saxophone. Here's the thing.
Why specifically the tenor saxophone?
This is just the one that we're doing.
Okay.
I think that saxophones in general tend to be tone boxes. They're very easy to produce, like, close to the correct sound. I don't think that the correct sound for me is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I think it's cool in certain settings. I think it can be really cool, actually. I think that the tenor saxophone has one of the highest skill ceilings out of any instrument. Since you unlock a decent sound really early, you can kind of just, like, get to the point where you can play, like, anything you want if you practice hard enough, which I think is pretty cool. This might be the top of good.
That's not what I was thinking at all,
What
actually.
were you thinking?
I mean, if I'm thinking of the family of saxophone instruments.
This is tenor saxophone specifically.
I know, but I'm comparing it to the other of the saxophones. I feel like a tenor is one of the bottom saxophones.
It depends on the context.
Because I think a bari sax can add something specific, like that, you know, like the bass. You always need more bass. So I feel like a bari sax is, I enjoy a bari sax.
But
an
you can
alto
get nasty
sax,
on a tenor, though.
I guess. I feel like maybe it's just underrated.
Slightly underrated.
Like it's like kind of the forgotten saxophone. Because everyone knows the big saxophone, and then like alto like is popular. Everybody knows an alto saxophone.
Yeah.
But I feel
so
like
where would you put it?
I don't know. It's hard. Like am I looking at the instrument separate from all the rest, or am I trying to like kind of distribute them between
everything to do with the tenor saxophone? I say it's a good instrument. What do you think?
I guess I can agree with you, except for the fact that good is not centered
Is
in
it
that box.
above or below violin, though? Tenor, violin.
I feel like they're just different. I think they can be together. They just are different spectrum, different parts of the music family, you know?
Yeah.
All right, an alto flute, or is that a bass flute?
That is an alto flute, bro.
That's a garbage instrument.
That's a garbage instrument if I've ever seen. You can't even hear the thing. Like, what's the point? I'm sorry. Unless you're doing, like, a specific solo, and then it just sounds like the wind. It's like, bro, just whistle. Whistle really low. I'm sorry. If I offended you with that, like, you just gotta, like,
do you remember
pick yourself up.
In high school when there was a piece that we played that had an alto flute in it?
Yeah, that didn't work out.
No,
I know,
because
I
all
think
the
if you're really
flutes were
good-
gonna like actually kill each other over getting to play the alto flute, and
it
then
wasn't.
somebody finally got the part, and then they realized that the part was actually trash, and you couldn't even hear it, and it was literally just not worth it. And
I think it's a very it's not a very utilized instrument in general. I think
as it should be though.
Right, exactly. It's like, who needs that?
Yeah. Maybe with like a flute quintet, but like how often are you listening to music by flute quintet?
The only purpose of a flute quintet is to have a flute quintet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
and what music
it's
is
literally
written
just for it to be a flute quintet. And it's like, it would just sound better if you had a different instrument playing those notes. I'm sorry. I think the flute is a good instrument.
You're a bit brass biased, but
yeah,
it's okay.
But like, brass is so pure.
Except for when it's not.
Speaking of which, I'm sorry. If you put a trumpet in the right hands, it is the best sound you could possibly get. One of the best sounds.
But I feel like you could.
That is a god tier instrument.
Let me speak. Let me cook. You could argue that a trumpet is kind of similar to a French horn. In the aspect that, like, if you're gonna put a French horn down at mid because it's so difficult,
hear me out.
It's so difficult
Listen,
that
though,
majority of people playing
you
it
have a good
are
argument.
trash.
You have a good argument. I have a better one. You're going to heaven. What do you hear?
Dogs.
No. 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 Okay. You have a soundtrack for you going to heaven.
I'm going
it's
to
a
heaven.
celebration, and you're going to heaven. What do you hear?
I'm going
you hear
to
trumpets, and they're glorious.
Okay, don't ask a question when you don't want to hear the answer.
I'm sorry.
I go to heaven. You know what I hear? A euphonium.
But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, I hear euphonium.
That's fine that you hear euphonium going to heaven, but okay. You're
just biased because this is the best looking trumpet you've ever seen.
That is.
You found a Lotus trumpet and you think
really
and you're
beautiful.
Just blinded by the rose gold color.
Okay, you're traveling across the galaxy in a fictional world, what do you hear? You hear trumpets in Star Wars. You hear trumpets in literally everything. It's the most glorious sound. Now, it's not when I play it, and it's not when most
95% of people play it. Okay, so that's the same argument with French horn.
But it's just so good in like every soundtrack ever. It's heavily utilized in a very good way in like jazz settings. It's just like, it's a god tier instrument. You know what I mean? It's used in more, and for a reason, it's used in more genres of music than probably anything else on this list. For a reason.
But are we also considering, are you thinking of
you can do anything
the trumpet world, including like a C trumpet and like
this is a B flat trumpet.
Okay, but listen.
This is B flat trumpet.
But what I'm saying is, let me talk.
You asked me questions.
But I didn't ask the full question.
All right.
So if you're thinking of trumpet world, where it's like, okay, maybe you're playing a cornet, maybe you're playing a flugelhorn, I feel like part of like a trumpet player, their skill is that they can play all these different instruments that all bring a different sound. Versus like a tuba, if you play tuba, you're playing your tuba.
You're playing
right?
B flat, C, or E flat.
But usually you're not. Usually you're playing one.
In the high school setting, yeah.
But even college, like, you don't have, like, in brass band, you don't have people switching their tubas that they're playing, right?
But you do have two.
Let me listen. Let me cook.
You're cooking.
So if you're including all of those things, I would agree that a trumpet player and the utility of a trumpet in all of its versions is god tier. But I don't know if I would say specifically the B flat trumpet is god tier, because maybe a cornet is god tier.
All right, it's top of great.
Is that a valid argument
fine.
though, right?
Fine.
Because you hear trumpets in all their varieties in all these music things, but you can put it in god tier. It's fine, put it in god tier.
B flat trumpet is top of great.
All right, you can put it in god tier because it can represent.
No, you know what? You did this. It's top of great though.
Okay.
That is the B flat trumpet is objectively a great instrument.
I think it's a great instrument too. I just don't think it's god tier.
But I think
it's your least favorite trumpet.
I think what's the word? Like anatomically it is like horrible, honestly. Like
I'm just saying a cornet
is a much better design.
And maybe a C trumpet also is.
It's such an iconic sound, it deserves to be top of great.
I agree.
The cello?
I kind of like the cello.
You can't put this too low, and I don't think it's possible to put it too high. It's just physically not possible.
Because it's so heavy, you can't lift it that high.
The cello's got a nice sound. Like, you know, like a Bach, like cello suite, like goes kind of hard.
I'm tempted to put it in good, but I think I like the cello more than I like the violin. So I feel like you could put it great. I feel like I'm okay with great.
I would say maybe like bottom of great. Like I don't think you can't put cello above electric guitar realistically, like just in general.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great instrument.
It's unfortunate that it's so big because it like other instruments, like if we're considering like portability,
that's a beautiful
like
sound,
I think
though.
But I like the sound of a cello. And most people that play the cello are good at cello because you don't really see like I don't know. I feel like you don't meet a lot of bad cello players.
I think it's one of the easier instruments, and it's kind of like the parts are normally pretty simple, but I think that's part of the beauty.
And then when you're good at it and you play crazy stuff, it's like, wow, you're playing crazy stuff on
and you
cello.
get like all these cello players playing like right in time, in tune. Just sounds really good.
In tone. Can't forget in tone. Well, do they have tone?
Yeah. It's like how I think it's also like to do with their pitch, but I think it's like how like hard they're like pressing it. Like you have to kind of finesse it. Finesse it a certain amount. This is a B flat clarinet. So this is your instrument.
I think B flat is a good instrument.
I think it's a good instrument as well. I don't think.
All right, moving on. No, just kidding.
I don't think that there's anything glorious about a B flat clarinet.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. I think a clarinet is better than a tenor saxophone.
Okay.
So I feel like it should be not the top of good, but higher than. Like if I were to, I would say.
Okay.
A clarinet is here, and maybe a violin is above a clarinet.
That might be a slightly better, yeah.
Because like I think the sound, like a clarinet brings such a warm, like the wood of a clarinet, I think just makes it sound better than a saxophone.
But like the tenor, like if you're listening to like a big band, like tenor saxophone is going crazy. Like really awesome sounds you can get with the tenor.
Yeah,
And
but I
B
think.
flat clarinet is a little bit more like
But the range,
constricted.
that's not true because the range on a clarinet is insane.
You can play all the notes.
It feels like two
but
instruments.
the
Playing the low range of a clarinet
tone
versus.
colors that you can get is.
That's not. You haven't heard some jazz clarinet players.
I've heard
then.
some jazz clarinet players. I'm just saying.
I
it's
think clarinet's
easier
better
to do that on a tenor saxophone. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with like personally.
Yeah, it's
I would
easier. It's easier to do it on a tenor sax, which makes it worse because it's just like a tone box, as we said.
Yeah.
It's more impressive to be good at clarinet, and I think that is part of the
Clarinet's
charm.
a more difficult instrument. It's true.
It's not a difficult instrument. It's just more difficult than tenor saxophone, and I think the sound of a clarinet is better than the sound of a saxophone.
Yeah. I like this so far.
They're pretty close, though. Like, they're kind of, they're...
I mean, there's... let's be honest. There's literally no other place for the euphonium to go. I don't know if you guys have had, like, the pleasure of listening to a legit euphonium player. It's different. It's so different. It's literally the best sound I've ever heard. Like,
it's just like
it's so pure,
like
and
perfect and clear and like rich.
The euphonium is the tone box of brass instruments. Like, euphonium is just, it just sounds good. But
it can sound bad. It's not like it's like,
but
so can saxophone. Yeah, they can sound bad.
Yeah, if you're
go
a beginner,
to middle school. Like,
if you're a beginner, it's not gonna sound good. But when you get to the high, even like the A high level, like even just the college level and above, oh my gosh, the euphonium just blows everything out of the water in terms of sound, and that's all it needs. I mean, you can take a good trumpet player, give them a euphonium, they're gonna sound awesome. Like I know some trumpet players who've played euphonium. It's just the most amazing brass tone you've ever heard. So if you haven't listened to some good euphonium players, you need to get out there and
you should look up Andrew Rebo.
And I played with him for a few years in the brass band here. It was like, that's why I went to rehearsal, honestly. It was just to listen to him play. It was just like, when you get somebody like that, it's like, how is this not the most utilized instrument ever? And it's because the average listener might not want to. Kind of like a cello. It's like boring, I guess. But if you have any appreciation for like timbre and just like the way something sounds and the purity of it, euphonium just, it honestly, like, we should have another tier. We should have God tier, which nothing's in, and then another we should have euphonium tier because it's just that good.
Who's the girl or like the lady that played at JMU at the concert, and your mom was like, she's so good?
Oh, that
was
a
euphonium, right?
tenor horn.
Oh, it was a tenor horn.
Yeah, different instrument. What was her name?
I don't know, but she was good too. I was thinking euphonium, but
again, like conical instruments like the euphonium, I think it's conical. Euphonium, flugelhorn, tenor horn, like they just sound so beautiful. And they don't even have to try. It's just right there.
Okay, they have to try. They work really hard, actually.
Yeah, but they just sound so good. Anyways, if we cooked, let us know. I think that there is no more objectively correct tier list than this.
I couldn't picture it any other way. So.
And considering we had to put something in each tier, like, what else could you want, really?
I'm glad bass flute is really big, or alto flute is big, because it like fills that whole section, like nothing else needs to go there.
And realistically, if you do think, for example, that this is a great instrument, A, you're wrong. But B, it's just because you play it and there's a little bit of bias there. Just like me putting this here, there's a little bit of bias. But also, when you go to heaven, what do you hear? You hear trumpet. It's just...
No, you hear euphonium. Or tenor horn.
You hear trumpet and euphonium. And the electric guitar, apparently, and cello.
Well, I hear the trumpet when I'm on Earth also, all the time.
Which is a little bit more annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, don't make it like... if you want to see a part 2, let us know, and... maybe we'll do another one. There's plenty more instruments. I specifically chose not a lot of instruments just in case.
Maybe we could do each family of instrument, like woodwinds.
There's
we could
some
do
potential.
like percussion.
Yeah.
Percussion's good. Or we could do it based on the people that play them. Stereotyping.
True. Yeah.
Gotta love stereotyping.
How much aura does Wynton Marsalis have? S tier aura. Like, what do you want? Okay, anyways. Yeah, let us know if you like this video. And if you hated our tier list, let us know that too. It helps. So
I'm picturing a lot of drummers kind of going crazy in the comments.
Yeah,
so let
I'm
us
looking
know
forward
if
to that.
if you're a drummer. Let us know.
Yeah, but we know we cooked, so it's all good. And that's it. So we'll see you in the next video.